first posting was in Chennai. I was posted as Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax. And the very first tenure itself, I had a few high profile cases which were politically sensitive. So I was not a wee bit nervous. I always carried myself with confidence. But there was always a doubt as to how a particular matter had to be dealt with. And as I told in an earlier segment, the subordinates sort of still are judging you. Are you going to be carried away by their inputs, or are you a person of your own mind? What kind of leadership quality do you exhibit? They're all watching you, as also the superiors. So, in the first few days, I remember, though I distinctly remember not being nervous. I did have doubts on how to carry forward a certain matter or work. Thankfully, there are always good batchmates, good friends with whom you can interact and take the matter forward. You share your experiences because everybody is a first year only. So they share their experiences, and there are some good, well-intentioned superiors who will guide you through the process. So I was not a wee bit nervous, but yes, there's always a doubt in mind in the first few days or months of the career. Then on request, I came back to Bangalore, which is my hometown, and there also I was posted in jurisdiction called Media Circle. So you have to assess all media cases. That is, any SSE associated with the media comes under you for assessment and scrutiny. The high point of this tenure was a raid on a popular Kannada music director in Bangalore, and this was in my second year of service, and it had unearthed good results, a good amount of undisclosed income. So it was widely appreciated, and that is probably the moment I had shown everybody that I have arrived. The superiors and subordinates had taken note, and probably that was one of the best actions in that jurisdiction. Many more media cases were not exactly raided, but they were brought to books. So not many people knew that these celebrities who probably stand in front of the cameras and give big lectures actually could be potential tax evaders. So that had sent strong signals in the market. And I remember one of the very popular media houses of Karnataka had defaulted in their tax payments. N number of exhortations on them to pay up the taxes had fallen on deaf ears. One strong action of bank attachment, they fell in line. So this you may call it a kick of the job, but actually it is bounden duty to empower yourself with all the provisions that the law gives you to enforce. So with this kind of signal, a message was sent to the persons in my jurisdiction that there could be no way one could just wish away taxes, the due taxes. After this, I proceeded on leave for about a month or two for my wedding. I got married, and I remember on the 20th day of my wedding, I reported back to my duties, and I had been just posted in a very sensitive charge, which was vested with the responsibility of assessing cases that had been raided. And this particular charge was also very sensitive because it had one of the most famous, rather infamous scams of mining of Karnataka, Supreme Court monitored. So this tenure was, I may say, one of the most eventful because of my strong message that I had sent. Somewhere, some of the colleagues had already developed a kind of professional jealousy. And I still remember that even before I had reported, and when I was in leave and was yet to report to duties, they had paraded along with the boss of that charge and went to the administration to have me changed, just because I'm not the one who will move along with them, move along. So, they had known that I'm a person of independent mind and will do exactly as per law. So this particular case of mining scam, Supreme Court monitored, had some of the most high-profile names, and we had to assess this one. It was challenging because a lot of evidences had to be culled out, and many of the evidences were not readily available. They had to be procured from other enforcement agencies. It was also sensitive because of the high-profile nature of the people involved. But without fear of favor, I'm happy I could discharge, I could do those duties. And all my orders have been upheld by the appellate authorities in this particular case. It was also reported in a few tax journals as one of the highest tax grossers of that year in Bengaluru. And it has also been incorporated in some of the best practices books of the department. So that was one of the high points of as a young officer. After that, I was vested with more such responsibilities. The next posting had relatively, having seen the biggest of the cases now, sort of now work began to look a little light to me. I could afford to, relax a bit and not be very cautious or to become too circumspect. So I had developed a sort of comfort with my work. And then there are certain natural breaks for a lady as an officer, because I went on proceeded on maternity leave. My first child was born. So these are natural breaks for a woman. It's good. It's in its own way, and may have some demerits. May pose some demerits in a smooth progression. So after returning from maternity leave for my first child, my journey in through various postings continued, and after that I again came back to Chennai after the birth of my first child, because my husband is posted as an IPS officer of Tamil Nadu cadre. So I sought a posting and was duly given, and that way it is really one of the kindest services, because to the extent possible, it accommodates the postings of spouses together. So, having landed back in Tamil Nadu, I served first in Trichy, which also had certain sensitive cases of search assessment. But I glided through, because by now I had gained enough experience. As you approach the 8th, 9th year of service, I was promoted to the junior administrative grade. That is, you become a supervisory officer. So now it was the time to mentor a few young bright minds. I did my best and have been duly recognized for it by the superiors and by the bosses. So now currently I'm holding two charges, one as an administrative head, which is actually called headquarters. So here you manage the human resource, transfer postings of the staff, you have to look after the infrastructure. So the last 2 years have been very gratifying as an admin head, because I'm happy that I could contribute enough to the infrastructure. We took up some new projects and came up with a few infrastructure additions to our department, and that was received very well. It is, it gives you satisfaction that you have given back to your organization. Here, this particular charge gives me a lot of satisfaction of having contributed to the national exchequer, which is the lifeline of all the development that our nation has to undergo, has to see, or is undergoing. So I'm happy I'm contributing my bit to nation building. So this gives me a very gratifying feeling. not to think that IAS is the only one which contributes, because as you can see from the experiences that I've shared, you are actually giving the lifeline to the nation building, which is the taxes. So if you do your job well as an IRS officer, you're giving that lifeline to an IRS officer to spend and bring about those projects. So it is a misconception or maybe a half knowledge to believe that it's the only IAS that contributes to nation building. So every grassroots level officer requires your support at the macro level. So you are the one who will fill the gap as an IRS officer at the macro level. Give the IRS of the necessary lifeline for nation building. And you're also involved in many other philanthropic activities through the IRS Association, which steps in whenever there's a flood. You act as volunteers, you bridge the gaps between the supply and the ground level requirement. You create awareness about the taxes. So the multifarious roles are available even in IRS. So it is misconception to believe that only a particular service gives you an opportunity to serve the nation. So what I would like to tell the aspirants is go all out in your preparation. Do not have any blocks. Do not have any preconceived notions about a certain service, that it is of this kind, it is of this kind. Feel free to discuss with your seniors. Enjoy the journey. And as I said earlier, the proof of pudding is in eating. So come eat. Jump yourself into this ocean, and only then you'll realize the fun in it. So welcome, and hope to see you guys on Officers on Duty one day.